Hi there, everybody, and welcome again to the Pancho Crystal Skull Hour. This is our second show, and we're very happy to have you guys here listening in and watching us live. I just want to, again, thank last week's guest. Our guest was Kendall Ray Morgan, who came from Tucson to talk about the crystal skulls and to talk about the 13 crystal skulls, the legend of the 13 crystal skulls. And we got a lot of really good stuff from him, some really great information. I got some great feedback. We had people that were listening to us all the way from Argentina, from Puerto Rico, from Hawaii, from all parts of the United States. And so I'm just really, really grateful to everyone who tuned in. Today, our topic is going to be crystals, crystal healings. We're going to be talking with Leslei Fisher. Leslei, she actually graduated from the University of Texas with a master's in science and science education with a geology emphasis. She's here with us live in the studio. Hi, how are you? Good to see you, Leslei.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm really glad that you're here and glad that you're going to talk about minerals, about crystals. I really, growing up, to me, rocks and minerals, they were just fun things to play with and to throw around. And, I would, throw them into the lakes or into the ponds and stuff. I didn't really know that much about, I wasn't really attracted to rocks or minerals. But I remember the first time I met you, you told me that growing up, you had a much different experience with rocks and minerals. Can you tell us about that?
I had a very different experience. I've always been attracted to any kind of rock or crystal or stone. It doesn't really matter if it's big or little or whether it's high quality or poor quality. They're friends to me. And even when I was a little child, they talked to me like you and I are sitting here talking now. Mm-hmm. And we have a famous picture in our family of me dressed for Easter at age 2 in all the little lace and black patent, complete with gloves and hat, bending down, picking up a handful of gravel.
Oh, really? And what was your experience?
It's just, if I go out to Red Rock or I go drive out in an area that there's a lot of rock outcroppings, it's like the singing of trees to some people. I can hear the singing of the rocks.
You can hear this. And what do they say? or is it just a feeling that you have inside, or a voice in your head?
It's like a internal communication, like when we mess up and we start talking to ourselves in our head, it's that kind of conversation.
Oh, awesome. And I do remember the first time that we met. We met
yes.
about 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
We met at a psychic fair, and
right.
It was actually the first time I had ever taken Pancho out anywhere,
right.
To be seen in public. Mm-hmm. And I still can't forget the experience, or the reaction that you had when you met Pancho, and here he is in front of us, and
right.
Are you still getting the same kind of experience? Tell us your experience when you first met him.
When you walked into the room, I was already there, and I felt a real definite shift in the energy in the room. Mm-hmm. Quartz crystals are the best conductor of electricity there is, mm-hmm. So there was a profound energy shift at that time. And I didn't really think anything about that because I've experienced those many times for different reasons. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that the reason, if I need to know it, comes to me, and if I don't, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But when I found out that you were there with Pancho Crystal Skull, I was quite excited because I had never seen one in person.
But you'd heard of them before?
I had heard of them before. And I just love rocks. I mean, they're my friends. How could I not be excited? And it's like a new friend, yay! So, and when I got the opportunity to come into the room where you had Pancho, where it was just us, Pancho immediately started talking to me the moment I walked through the door. And we just had a conversation, and he kept telling me, call him Paco. And, I've had a hard time calling him Pancho, because from the first moment I met him, Paco was his name. to me. But we've discovered since then that he tells different people different names.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
So I've learned to be comfortable calling him Pancho, but in my heart he'll always be Paco.
So can you describe a little bit better about what that experience was, what that conversation? I don't know. Was it a private conversation, maybe?
The thing that I walked away with that was unusual for me is everything that was not happiness completely dissipated. You can't be in the room with Pancho for very long and there be dissatisfaction or discontent or anger or irritation. It's not that you don't feel it, it's just that it snap and it's gone.
Right.
You know?
Right. I've heard a lot of people relate similar
Pancho's just a really happy rock, and he wants everybody to be really happy. He's the fiesta of rocks.
Well, that's really cool, and I get that with my experiences with Pancho and taking him around. Everyone always makes that comment about that happy face, about the smile that he has on him,
right?
Which is very different from other crystal
very
skulls.
Much so.
You know, even other ones that I've seen not in person, but that I've seen like on the internet and pictures of. You know, he's got that happy feeling,
right?
And maybe you can tell me a little bit more about like when you work with a crystal and about especially when you carve a crystal or something like that, the intent that goes in of the person who's carving. Do you think that that's why he has that? I
think so.
Happiness?
I think you know, there's thousands upon thousands of cut stones, precious gemstones and semi-precious stones. I've got a diamond here and opal here and opal earrings on that you can't see through the headphones. And some of the cut stones have really great energy, but some of them don't have such great energy. And my discovery working in the gem industry on the fringes of it has been that it depends on what cutting center the stone comes from.
Okay.
If it comes from one of the sweatshop places, then the stone doesn't have very good energy.
Oh, okay.
If the stone was considered, the raw rock was carefully considered and carefully planned, and the person was doing it with the intent of creating the utmost beauty out of that piece of rock, that comes through.
Right.
So intention certainly makes a difference.
Okay.
And it makes sense scientifically. Our thoughts create energy. The energy that we create goes into what's around us. So
you would say like whoever carved or whatever carved Pancho, that intention of I guess you're using like words like happiness, maybe peace, maybe love, all that was
peace, love,
transferred.
and happiness, honor, respect, having high standards, you know,
now,
high values.
So and so you know about gems and you know about crystals, and is it pretty difficult to carve? I mean, you talk about your earrings and other carving a piece of crystal like this.
Carving a piece of rock, the only way you can do it usually is with another rock.
With another rock.
And depending, I will qualify that. It depends on the hardness of the stone. If you have a piece of gypsum or alabaster, it's quite easy to carve it with metal tools because it's a low softness on the Mohs scale. But on the Mohs scale, quartz is between a 5 and a 7. I want to say it's a 6.5. I'd have to look it up to verify. But quartz is a relatively hard stone. So to do a carving like Pancho, you would need something like a diamond.
A diamond. And it would probably take a really, really, really long time. It would take a long time even to use that for his size and everything. Right. So, no, that's very interesting. I actually took Pancho to the University of Nevada in Las Vegas just to verify that he was crystal. Because when I first got him, I didn't know whether he was. I couldn't tell the difference. And he was confirmed by one of the geologists there that he was actually crystal. But you know, I just want to thank you so much. We're going to continue our conversation. I want to talk a little bit more about crystals and about crystal healing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about you know, just rocks, which is your favorite subject. So we're gonna. Oh, and also what we're gonna do is we're gonna also have a meditation.
Oh,
Is that correct?
That's
yeah.
right.
But you're going to lead us in it. Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
I'll be happy to do that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much, everybody that's joining us. We're very, very happy that you're here. And we're looking forward to talking a little bit more with Leslei Fisher, who has so much expertise and knowledge about crystals, crystal skulls, and rocks. And we thank you so much. Welcome, everybody, again to Pancho Crystal Skull Hour. I'm sitting here with Pancho, obviously. He's joining us. And with Leslei Fisher, who is talking to us about crystals and minerals and all that fun stuff. I see that you actually brought a crystal.
I brought a hunk of Arkansas quartz crystal. It's got 3 very large crystals that are well formed and several smaller ones. This one over here is actually a twin, which actually amplifies its abilities. So this is the kind of rock that Pancho came from.
Right.
Just a lot bigger hunk, and it was a crystal even bigger than this. It was humongous.
And it's cool how you can look into the crystal, and you can also look into Pancho, and you see all kinds of really cool stuff in there. What you've looked into Pancho? Have you ever seen anything? I know people talk about rainbows. Some people have talked about, they even see like angels in the crystal. Why is that?
Different entities agree to be part of the crystalline structure, just like there's fairies and gnomes and leprechauns and such. And these crystals, the entities are there to help us and to promote the healing principles of the crystals.
That's actually real interesting that you talk about healing. I think I've talked to a lot of people that have said that they've been healed, even being around Pancho.
Right.
I even think that it's just amazing. I've talked about, and not just with Pancho, but with other crystals. They use crystals for healing.
Right.
How do you use crystals for healing?
I use crystals in a variety of ways for healings. I create healing quilts that I put the crystals on, and they have different crystals have different healing properties based on their mineral composition. And for instance, an emerald, the stones we consider most precious, emeralds, diamonds, sapphires, things like that, are also the strongest at doing healings.
Okay.
So it makes sense that those are the most precious to us. And the ones that are semi-precious, like rose quartz or citrine or tourmalines, those have good healing properties, but they're not as strong as the others.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter whether it's a big crystal or a little crystal. Everything has healing properties to it.
Right. Okay.
A lot of the rocks that I use in my healings are fairly small. A lot of healers I know look to have very large crystals. I started out with the small ones because of economics.
Okay.
And over time, I've discovered that I'm satisfied with the work that I get out, the effect I get out of the smaller stones. And I don't really feel a need to go to the larger stones unless it's a really stubborn issue.
Right. And one of the things that I was very interested when I talked to you about being a guest on the show and everything, you talked to me about doing a reading with crystals with me.
Right.
And because in last week's show, we talked with Kendall about the information that Pancho has in him,
Right.
We know that crystal is used in our microchips for our computers,
Exactly.
in our cell phones. So they not only we're talking about the healing benefits of crystals, but also there's that information that is stored within crystals.
And you asked earlier what I thought was in Pancho. I think information is what's in Pancho.
Okay.
I think that there is ancient wisdom within Pancho and he wasn't discovered until the 60s because made known because it wasn't time for that information to come to us yet.
To be revealed.
And now it's time for that information to be shared.